And this is something that happened during Super Bowl week. It became a thing last week. Joey Porter Sr., appearing on Cam Hayward's podcast, had some strong things to say about former Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, who will be up next year for the Hall of Fame. So this topic actually, and I'll explain more in a second, it does have some significance to what's going to transpire over the course of the next year. David DeCastro, who played with Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh, he appeared on 93.7 The Fan yesterday, and here's what DeCastro had to say when the topic of Porter's comments about Roethlisberger came up.
It's just, it is what it is. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I guess, negativity seems to sell these days, but, I love playing with Ben, poor Ben, protecting him. It was a big task. And, Ben, I just love all his energy. I mean, Ben's the ultimate competitor, no matter what it is, whether it's cornhole, darts, pool, shooting, playing horse, basketball. I mean, he's a guy when you get in the huddle and he's got that energy. He does, we used to do the head tap before the games, the pregame thing, go around, tap everyone's head. And I mean, you kind of miss getting those juices flowing and, having a guy like that where that's what you need as a quarterback, that energy, that will, that want to win. It was contagious and took a lot of pride in protecting a Hall of Fame quarterback.
DeCastro showed up in Pittsburgh in 2012. That was after Roethlisberger's suspension in 2010. And I think that the reputation within the locker room for Roethlisberger had two separate phases: pre-suspension, post-suspension. I think there was some maturation. I think there was some growth. I think there were some changes as it relates to how he interacted with his teammates. Porter played there pre-suspension. Now, he coached there post-suspension, but his initial opinion of Roethlisberger was formed early in his career. And there have been plenty of stories about, teammate asking for Roethlisberger to sign something that's going to be put up at a charity auction and Roethlisberger saying no. There's a story out there about Roethlisberger not attending the Jerome Bettis retirement party in Las Vegas, even though Roethlisberger was in Las Vegas at the time. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's out there. I've heard that. That's not something that we're pulling out of the sky. I know of former teammates of Ben Roethlisberger who have off the record had criticism of him. And I think moving forward, the question becomes how many former teammates will have something to say publicly or privately? Even if guys don't go on the record, because I think some of the players recognize we shouldn't be saying these things to the media. Whatever opinions we have about a former teammate should remain private. But when it's time for the 50 Hall of Fame voters to do their work, as we get the initial long list of nominees and then it gets chopped down to a shorter list and chopped down, and ultimately we have 15 modern era finalists, assuming Roethlisberger is one, and he should be. What information will the voters gather from players on the Steelers off the record about Roethlisberger as a teammate, about Roethlisberger as a leader? If it's a close question, those are fair game. And it's not easy to separate the off-the-field stuff from off-the-field but in the building stuff, the locker room stuff, the leadership stuff, the things that a quarterback is expected to do. Will that be an impediment? I don't know. I'm not a voter, don't want to be a voter, will never be a voter. They won't ask me. If they did, I won't do it. If they somehow overhaul the whole process and say, we need that jerk to be one of the voters, I'll say, no, thank you. So the voters are going to have to decide whether or not Roethlisberger gets in. Sims and I were talking about this last week, and Roethlisberger deserves it more than Eli Manning. Both won 2 Super Bowls. Eli Manning finished his career at 500. Roethlisberger won 66.6% of his games. And yes, Eli Manning had 2 of the great throws in Super Bowl history. That cannot be discounted. But Roethlisberger had the better overall career. If it's close, though, and now that it's harder to get in because of this weird formula the Hall of Fame came up with, probably in reaction to Deion Sanders saying too many guys get in, will that be enough for Roethlisberger to not get in on the first try, to the extent that first ballot means something? And some voters apparently think that it does. Otherwise, Bill Belichick would already be in. Well, he'll get in next year. Well, if he'll get in next year, he should be in this year. Roethlisberger's either a Hall of Famer or he isn't. And I know that the process complicates it, and you've got a logjam that's building up. Will some voters feel compelled to put Eli Manning in before Roethlisberger just because if Eli gets passed over for Roethlisberger, he may never get in? I had a voter tell me years ago when a guy got in that was like, is he really a Hall of Famer? Well, if he doesn't get in this year, he never will. That was what I was told. Well, maybe he shouldn't be in then. Maybe he never should get in. It's just a weird, weird thing. And my primary objection to the whole process flows from the fact that they tell us football is the ultimate team sport. If football really is the ultimate team sport, and I believe it is, with 11 guys on the field at any given time, 22 on offense and defense, if it's the ultimate team sport, why do they even have a Hall of Fame? Why are there individual awards at all if it's the ultimate team sport? So, hey, bottom line, it's a museum in Canton, Ohio that becomes the epicenter of the National Football League one weekend every year. And now they've reduced the number of parties, reduced the number of busts, reduced the number of floats in the parade by reacting to something that Deion Sanders said and making it harder for guys to get in. I think if you're going to do it, let's have 6, 7, 8 guys in every year. Let's do it. There's many more people who have played professional football than there are other sports because there are 22 guys on the field at any given time. In baseball, there's 10. The 9 guys on defense and the batter. And I guess you can throw in the guys who are on base. In basketball, there's 10. In football, you got 22 guys actively contributing on every single play. A lot more players on the roster, a lot more players who have played. I got no problem with up to 8 guys getting in every year. And that's one of the criticisms Tony Dungy has of this new process. They have squandered spots. There are spots every year that are available, and they're not using them. That just makes a larger logjam, and it makes it harder for guys to get in. And Roethlisberger now joins that group. And the point is this. It's going to be incumbent on the voters who are already working for free. If they're close on Roethlisberger, what kind of a teammate was he? What kind of a leader was he? Do the guys out there fall more into the Joey Porter Sr. camp? Do they fall more into the DeCastro camp? I have a feeling if you're going to get the full scope of teammates over the years that Roethlisberger was in Pittsburgh, the scale is going to tip more toward Porter than DeCastro. But if it's relevant to Roethlisberger's potential enshrinement, that's something that the voters need to do and something for which they don't get paid a penny. My free work extends only to the AP panel. And frankly, as I've said before, the only reason I haven't quit is because they want me to. And the only reason they haven't fired me is because I want them to. And we're at an impasse and I just keep doing it. But I'm not a big fan of working for free. No one should work for free. I mean, you provide a service, you should get paid for it. The AP is getting paid for the awards that they put together every year by the NFL. The Hall of Fame is not a free enterprise. It may be a for-profit business structure, but it's not a free enterprise. They charge people to go in. It's a business. It generates revenue for the city of Canton, hotels and restaurants and all the other stuff, all the other reasons why it's a big deal every year when the Hall of Fame comes to town. So that's where we are. That's where I am. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.